So you didn't think it should before you decided to jump into it, basically. So there are some questions you should ask. So some of these questions, I think I've highlighted them there. So are you a naturally curious or inquisitive? You know, there are some people naturally they know how to probe. It's just part of their nature. We are not talking about over probing into people's affairs, that's not what we are saying. But then people that ask questions, some people you just tell them something and they're like, okay, fine, that's it. And then there's some people, if you tell them something, of course, they're going to ask, are you sure of what you're saying? Can you back up what you're saying? In this world, a lot of people make sentence now. You just make a statement and you don't even have bank for whatever you're saying. It happens a lot. It happens a lot. People just make random statement based on sentiments. I can give you an example now. This is a funny example. I was speaking with my mom some nights ago and she was telling me like, hey, a majority of churches isn't open on the crossover because of insecurity. And I was asking her, how many church did you go to in that night? Apart from our church, she said she saw another church when she was going to her church. I was like, I don't know how many church you have in Abeokuta alone, and now you are using just two church to make an influence over like 1,000 church. So that kind of statement is not statistically backed up with anything. If you have 1,000 church in Abeokuta, you want to know whether a lot of churches open or they didn't open. You need a sample. You need to sample churches. Maybe you have like out of 1,000, you sample like 200 churches, and then you check whether they open or they don't open. Then you can make an inference. So you just don't make statements. Your statement has to be backed up. So if you are inquisitive, you can consider being an analyst. If you are inquisitive, you can consider being an analyst. Then, do you have an analytical mindset and a logical approach to work? You know, when we talk about analytical mindset, is a kind of mindset that, of course, you have to have a clear mindset, and then your approach to things should be structured. You should be able to get information and then dissect whatever information you're getting. You know, when you possess some of these skills, wow, I think I can do that. Are you interested in business strategy? Now, as an analyst, if you are working with an organization now, let's say a kind of organization that is business facing, they are business facing, and then they are having a kind of customer churn. When we talk about customer churn, it means their customers are leaving the business, or they are having problem retaining customers, and then you are presented with a data to, as our data analyst, this is the data of people that are coming to our website. This is the data of people that are coming to our website. Can you analyze the data and try and tell us why some customers are not returning? Essentially, why are they not returning? Why are we not retaining customers? As it's not far, it's not really, you can analyze data and then you check. Oh, is someone saying something? Okay, you can analyze the data and and you check you check the trend. There's always a trend. That's the funny thing. You can see maybe is
Irọ́ ní gbogbo 10,000 wá jẹ́. Kí ni nǹkan tán ṣátajọ́ fẹ́ fi rà bí àgbò?
please sir, can you pause me, Mr. Adedeon? Thank you. So if you analyze the data and you check trend, maybe a particular age group are not coming back to that platform. Maybe older people are not coming back. If you notice that maybe older people are not coming back to your platform, it's possibly because maybe they don't even understand how to use it. If somebody is some of these old people now, they are averse to technology basically, so they may not really know how to navigate the UI of a platform. So if you notice that, older people are not coming back, that can be so. Based on whatever decision you are based on whatever trend you can notice, it will inform a strategy that you can put forward to that company, that, do this and this. Maybe you should do more tutorial on how to use your platform, or maybe you should create an ad on how to navigate your platform, or maybe go back to your engineers, let them rework the UI of your platform so that it should be easier for so people to use, maybe a particular age range. So basically, if you're interested in things like that, analysts basically form the bedrock of businesses, because you are the ones that really knows what's going on, and you can put forward solutions and even strategies So, are you, if you're interested in that, you may consider being an analyst a kind of a fit for you. Then, do you have an affinity for numbers and statistics? See, you don't need to be a guru in mathematics essentially to be a data analyst. But of course, you have to be familiar with statistics, at least statistics. We have descriptive statistics, we have inferential statistics, and of course, these matter some of the things you ask yourself if you want to. Of course, you want to perform analysis. Of course, there'll be training. You take classes on statistics, basically how to interpret whatever statistics you are using, be it inferential or descriptive. So at least you should be interested in that. There's no how you will not deal with numbers at some point. At least if you are in the field of maybe a research analyst or a business analyst or a financial analyst or a data analyst for that matter. So there are some other analysts that deals with qualitative data. Those are words. People use questionnaires to collect data, and they collect yes or no, agree or disagree. How you get so those are qualitative data. They are not numbers. But then some of the times when you input some of these data into your software, you still have to convert them to numbers. So are you a keen problem solver? So there are some people they abandon problems. There are some people if they don't see the end of a thing, they don't give up. Basically, no. And for example, now I think more than 30 persons registered for these free webinar, and then I think we have just over 10 persons there. So it's just give you an insight into how attention span and how people see things. You know, I'm sure some people that are on this corner, they may have one constraint or the other that might have prevented them from not being on this corner. And they just like, let me just go. So it's some of these things, they are part of the things that makes a good analyst a great analyst. Showing up even in the face of obstacles or whatever it may be. I know you get what I'm saying. So, are you comfortable presenting and collaborating? Of course, if you're an analyst, you can't escape presenting and collaboration, because if you analyze data and then you have a finding, of course, you present to stakeholders. Stakeholders can be anybody. If you're in business, of course, you have seniors, you have CEOs that you talk to. I'm sure they have board meetings in business, so you talk to them. If you're in the research field, of course, you present your project. Basically, you just have to present. So it helps your presentation skills also. It helps you on your presentation skill. So let me move on. So you can ask yourself some of these questions, and of course, if most of these aligns with your kind of personality, of course, you can consider being an analyst. So basically, what is data analysis itself? Comment. So data analysis is a systematic process of inspecting, cleaning, transforming, modeling data to discover useful information, draw conclusions, support decision making, blah blah blah. It turns all data into actionable insight that helps businesses, researchers, organizations solve problems. So we are basically solving problem or finding the reason why some certain problem exists, identify trends, make informed oh God. So I think I'm back. So network is misbehaving. Sorry. So identify trends and make informed choices. So if you talk about data now, I checked some of the responses on the Google format. Some people like data is information, is numbers. Data is not just restricted to numbers. It can be anything. It can be anything. I talked about qualitative data. I talk about quantitative data. Quantitative, of course, has to do with numbers. What was on this? Network. God help us. Sorry. So of course, quantitative has to do with number. Qualitative has to do with quantitative has to do with numbers. Qualitative has to do with maybe words. Now I can give an example. Now, if people do this a lot, somebody can put up a controversial post on, let's say, a social media platform now, and then of course, when you put out a triggering post, what you are looking for is comment and engagement. You can analyze comments on a particular post to just see how people feel. And I'm telling you, governments, even government, do this at times. If government want to put a particular policy forward, they just bring it out maybe as a news or as a rumor, and then they just sit back and start watching people's reaction. And I'm telling you, the more you comment, what you say, those things are data. They are collecting those data. At the end of the day, they analyze and see, are people really okay with this thing? Oh, okay, many people are okay with it. Oh, a lot of people have issues with it. Then they can go back and maybe modify whatever they want to put out, or they decide not to put it out altogether, or decide that, oh, many people are okay with it, and then they just put it out. So I'm just trying to say data is not restricted to number. There are data all around us. You can, if you just, whatever you want to do, you can just sit down and just gather data and let it inform your decision. Let it inform your decision. Let it inform your decision. So now that those data now in its unprocessed state, all those informations in its unprocessed state, we call them data now. So it's after you clean it, you process it, you inspect. That's when it becomes information. That's when it can inform decisions. That's when it can inform. So you as a data analyst, you take those raw data, you clean them, you modify them, you clean them, then you start making sense of them. That basically it starts making sense of those data. So that's what you are doing as an analyst. You start making sense of those data. So that's basically who an analyst is. You deal with data, maybe number data, and if you are dealing with numbers, so maybe you are dealing with finance, money, basically, or income, revenue, cost. You are checking the cost of a business. You are checking the revenue they are making. You are checking the profits. You are checking the profit margin. You are checking the year over year growth rate. So those ones basically deals with numbers. What is this? Sorry. Making noise in the background. So, sorry. So basically, that's what an analyst does. Let's go to the. I said I don't want this call to be long. So processes involved in data analysis. Of course, there are processes. There are ways analysis are done. There are some you can call them what's the term now? You can call them workflow. Yeah, maybe I think workflow is okay. I'll call them workflow. So now, if I want to perform an analysis, of course, I need data. In most cases, you may be given the data as an analysis. In most cases, you may have to collect the data yourself as an analyst too. So you may need to collect data yourself. For this class now, I think in the Google form, some of the data were collected. Majority of people on this call are graduates. Some are finished NYC, some have not finished NYC. So it can inform decisions. Most people have finished NYC, so of course there are inferences we can make. There are inferences we can make as regard why that is. There are, inf- there are inferences There are inferences you can make as regard why that is. I don't want to go into that one now. But basically, the process involved in data analysis, of course, you have to define your goal. What do I want to do? Most of the time, if you are working with a business, they may give you the goal. Okay, this one wants to know. Then you collect your data, or they give you the data. They may have a system for collecting data. Then you start cleaning the data. When we talk about cleaning, that's when you are removing um duplicated data. You are setting there you are standardizing the type of data you have. You are removing empty space. You are getting rid of unnecessary rows or columns. Not all everything in the data will be useful to you. So it can differ. It can some data are not that tedious to clean. Some may be tedious to clean. So you clean your data. Then after you clean your data, you go to the process of analyzing your data. So that's when you start using statistical and machine learning techniques to analyze data and check trends and patterns. So machine learning is another thing entirely. So let's move on. Data visualization. Of course, if you are communicating information to non-technical people, not everybody knows. Not everybody is. Not everybody is technical. If you are in a company and there are other stakeholders, not everybody will be technical. So if you are communicating your information to non-technical people, how do you present it so that they understand? That's where visualization comes in. So visualization is the best way of explaining essentially of explaining your results to stakeholders. So you show them charts, show them trends, show them pictures. People learn better with pictures. People learn better with pictures than writing words on the screen. People learn better with pictures. So that's where visualization comes in: bar charts, pie charts, different types of visualization, column charts, star column charts, heat map. There are a lot. Then your report generation, of course, you have to submit a report. In academic research, you have a project, you may have a manuscript. Of course, that's your report. And you know that the chunk of a manuscript is the data analysis part, because that's really where your work is. What did you do? What did you find? So you have your reports. So I want to the next slide is just yeah the next slide is just giving us a simple difference between who an analyst is and who a data scientist is. So if you check, let me enlarge my screen. Ah, very good. Okay. So a data analyst and a data scientist. So most of the time, a data analyst, what you just do is you have your data, you just provide insights. You analyze your data and you provide insight into the data. You can develop analytical systems to act as a single for that explain the outcome. Data analyst function is still more. Maybe I should use the word simple now, or streamlined. But when you're talking about a data scientist, see, data scientists now, those ones they deal with models. So, and if you are dealing with models now, if you are creating models now, they will start going into Python. Start going into Python. So there are different models that can be employed based on the data. We have linear regression, we have logistic regression, we have random forest classifier, we have k means clustering. So those ones, they are models. You work with your data set. It's a more broader. It's not that complex anyways. It's much broader. Then you A and B testing. So that's hypothesis testing. So you develop models maybe to predict the future or to determine make a decision on something. So, and data scientists, they even do more of data gathering. So, and they deal with much larger data in a sense. They deal with much larger data. They do it much and they deploy models too. So is a little more complex compared to compared to data analysis. So that's the difference. Let me go to the types of analysts we have. I think I've mentioned some of these before. I think I've mentioned some of these. Nice. Sorry, can you see my screen? Yeah. Hello, please, is my screen still showing?
No, we can't see your screen.
Oh, sorry.
It's not showing.
Sorry, sir. I'm coming. Okay, I think we are back. So we have different types of analysts. We have the business analysts. You know, the umbrella field is data analyst, is a being a data analyst. Of course, but then if you check job platforms now, you can see, oh, we are looking for a business analyst. You can see we are looking for a financial analyst. We are looking for a research analyst. We are looking for operations analyst. Everything is still under data analyst. It's just like somebody studying medicine, and at the end of the day, you have to specialize between going for surgery, going for optics, going for general medicine, going for different. I'm not a medical student. Going for different stores. So basically, so of course, so if you're an analyst, you can be a business analyst. You can decide to, of course, you can go by the general name of an analyst, but then you can niche down to being a business analyst. So by the time you are putting projects in your portfolio, you tend to move to that aspect. Or a product analyst, financial analyst, operations analyst. Operations analyst, they optimize process workflows and supply chain logistics. Basically, they take care of the business. You are in depth. You are when you talk about optimizing workflow, always finding the easiest way, a business will work, or the simplest way for it to integrate seamlessly. Basically, so that's what an option. A financial analyst, of course, if you see most openings for financial analyst, okay, you should have a degree in finance, blah blah blah, because you deal with money. You track their expenses, you track their costs, you track their expenditure, you track basically their budgets and blah blah blah. So you just check marketing analyst. I think there was a time I interviewed for a role, and it was that was last year. It was a research analyst. It was a research analyst and I think product analyst to combine. So basically, those ones they don't really deal with numbers. But then let's say your business wants to establish a new branch. So they are basically the people that go into the field, and you go into the field and you take data. When I talk about the take data, let's say we want to establish a new. Let's say let's say the business is in Oshogbo, their headquarters is in Oshogbo. They now want to establish a new branch in Ibadan. Of course, they will send out their analysts to Ibadan. So the analysts will go to Ibadan, they start taking data, they check where their kind of business, where it is concentrated, they check out their competitors, they check out their pricing system of their competitors. They go to even their they of course they will not they will go undercover anyways. They will go to their competitors companies and make research. What do people love? What do people hate? At the end of the day, they come back and then they draft a report. So some of the things they've learned will inform how they go about their own business. It's just like some of these fintech that we have, OP, PAMPay, Money Point. You see that some of these apps they may have similar features. Some may have different features. Of course, these companies they know how their different competitors app work. You can't tell me they don't download their competitors app and they check out how the app. Of course, they will check it. They will go online and see what people are complaining about. So they will use that to inform decisions when they are developing their own. So, oh, people don't like this, they take it away. So people had problem with traditional banks in Nigeria when you talk about all these normal banks. And then when all these new banks came, they changed their own model. So of course some of these there are some background work that have been done and analysts were involved to check what people want, what people need, all this sort. So let's just move on. So some of the things you need to know as an analyst, of course, to be an analyst, the most essential knowledge is, of course, you have to have a knowledge of statistics, because knowing how to I say it sometimes, knowing how to use Excel does not maybe necessarily make you an analyst. You don't even know what statistics is, because even if you know how to use it, you have to know what you want to use the result to find. You have to know what you want to use it to get. You have to know what you are probing for. So knowing how to use it to may not really may of course there are people that are computer operators and they can use Excel now. So you have to what differentiates you is your knowledge of goals, trend, what you want to find, what you are going for. So of course there are some tools that you need to know as an analyst. You should know how to use Excel, Power BI. Power BI is not only for visualization. There are many things Power BI can do. We have Power Query in Power BI, we have DAX in Power BI. It can do calculations too, it can clean up data. Then of course most people know Power BI as visualization too anyways. So we have Excel, we have which one is on the screen now? SQL. SQL is that's structured query language. You basically use it to probe database. You use it to ask questions from a database. Some big companies they have database because companies that have millions and millions of data, you can't use Excel for that one. A company that has 10 million rows of data, you want to use Excel. Your Excel will crash. There's no way to not crash. So that's where databases come in. And when you talk about database, you use SQL to query those database. You may not really necessarily need all data. So you will structure your query in a way that you extract the data you want from that database. Then we have Python. You use Python so when you're dealing with large data sets. Some of these Excel, Power BI, they cannot handle data sets that are too large. Yeah, because you can see data sets that are 100,000 rows because the accumulation of data with time. That's when you talk of time series analysis, you accumulate data over time. Over time, for a period of 20 years, you can be accumulating data. Of course, you know how many data you have. You now want to import into Excel, it won't work. So that's when you need maybe Python. They handle even much larger data sets. So basically, any analysis you can do in, let's say, Excel, you may be able to do it in Python. Just the difference is just that it can handle more data, and of course there are limitations to some of these things too. So we have Tableau, we have Google Sheets. There is SPSS, that's statistical software for, I think that's for social sciences in school. They use SPSS. Then there is SAS. In my own field, we use SAS for our data analysis. So they are not that common. But then some schools some project students you can't analyze the data with Python or Power BI. You have to use some of these traditional softwares. Okay. So in this slide, I gathered some links for. I'll drop this PowerPoint later in the group. So if you are interested, these are some of the links you can use and get some free courses. There was a time some of these most courses in data analysis were free. I think when the field was still new, even Coursera at that time they were giving 100%, 100%, 100% financial aid, but now it's not possible again because many people are taking use of those opportunities, of course. So some of these things are paid, but some of these ones that are here in this slide they are free. You can use them if some people are good in self-learning. You can use them. They are free to use. They are free to use. I will drop the PowerPoint in the group for those that are interested. These are free resources. And in addition to some of these things, your YouTube is always there. You can learn a lot from YouTube. A lot from YouTube. You can learn a lot from YouTube. So I think we are done. The last slide is okay. Yeah. So this is the last slide. Last year I did a class and it was a free training on data analysis. So just a week anyways. So we wanted to just teach people on data analysis. I think we had the class on Excel, on um, Excel, SPSS. No, we did statistics. We started with statistics. Started with statistics. We did statistics. We did yes, we use SPSS, Excel, SQL, 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 and then which other one? I wanted to do Power BI, but during that time of the year, I was entangled with some stuff, some personal stuff that I had to do. So and development, so it was shifting and shifting. So we could not do Power BI. So now I want to, for those that are interested, now this is a more structured class for data analysis. So I think I did a class with someone last year and she paid for it. Now I think she just recently got her system. So she will have more time to practice and do those stuff. So this is a more structured class anyways because this class I want to is not going to be free. That one is not going to be free. Because the one that we did that was free, I think many people registered. The only people that were with us throughout that class were like 5 persons that were with us. I think there was even a girl that was always entering my DM. "Oh, when are we going to the Power BI class?" I was just like, "There's no time. I'm sorry." So this is not going to be free for those that are interested. It's not going to be free. It's going to be 2 months long, essentially 3 months, because at the end of the month, at the third month, there's going to be a form of exam and projects. Some of these projects is to inform portfolio. It's going to go into your portfolio. It's going to go into your portfolio. So if you're interested in the class, it's going to be on Power BI, statistics first, Power BI, SQL. Then we are going to do Excel. Then SPSS. SPSS is a form of bonus for those that have been interested because for SPSS and SPSS, not just SPSS, because if you are working with project students in schools, they need SPSS. That one is sure. And of course Python. Python is going to be mainly for EDA analysis. EDA is exploratory data analysis. That's just you probing your data. So that's what EDA is. So that's what you use Python for. It's going to be for EDA analysis. It's going to be for EDA analysis. Of course, there are requirements because some people that could not even join the last class, so they were like they don't have laptop. Some say, if I join, there's no laptop for me to use. There's no phone. There's no so if you want to be part of the class, system is important. There's no how you will practice without having a good system. There's no how you practice without having a system, and then internet access. So they are important. So those tools will be learning them, and it's going to be a 3 months. The class is will be starting, let's say, on the 15th of January. It will be starting on the 15th of January. So if you are interested, I will create another form because I don't want it to be a random thing. I just drop a link and then people will be joining the group randomly. So that's even one of the reasons I created a form for this webinar. So a form will be dropped for those that are interested. You can fill the form. You should direct it to my DM, then we can discuss. The fee is 30K, 30,000 naira, but it can be paid 2 time. It can be paid 2 time. You you pay a form of commitment to show you that you are really serious, you want to start. If you are interested, so your commitment is going to show how interested you are in that class. So of course, if you commit to the class by making payments, you can start with us and end with us. The only time you need to make your final payment is when you want to do your projects, because I think I'll be even if the class will be holding, I think I'll even be inviting another analyst that will even be with us in that class. And there'll be some logistics that will be involved. By the time we are setting up the modalities for the project that will be carried out, because we need to group and do the like blah blah blah. So for those that are interested, that's it. I hope we gained value from this short presentation. If anybody have any question, please let them ask before we call it a night. And I'm so appreciative of those that joined. Thanks so much. So please, is there any question? Allow it together. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Victor. But does anybody have any question? Question, contribution, addition, subtraction, suggestion, comments, Anything, anybody. So I guess nobody really has anything to say. So in the advent of no question, I think we should call it a night. I think we should call it a night. Tanya, mbon, mbon. So in the advent of no question, mbon, yeah, okay. So sorry, in the advent of no question, I think we should call it a night. Thank you so much for joining, everyone. God bless everybody. So have a nice night. The PowerPoint will be dropped in the group. It has the resources. So thank you. Yeah, thank you too. We can leave the call. Oh. 40 minutes.
Thank you very much, sir. I really appreciate your time out and the explanation. Thank you. God bless you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Yeah, yeah.